Welcome everybody to the Paladins console series. It's time to visit North America. My name's the Tigress.
Hell yeah, welcome back, brother.
I gotta shake it off. You know, I've been in the office for over a week.
You've been cruising the great Alaskan North.
Oh, yeah.
Really getting to know North America, right?
Yeah,
so then now you can cast this with the full confidence and knowledge.
Now that I visited the farthest state, now I can truly be true to North America. But as you know, this is exclusive to Mixer, which is filled with lots of features, including that interactivity, faster than light technology, native broadcasting,
and the co-streaming.
With
your friends. Sometimes you need a little bit of help from your friends to get through those long days grinding the stream. But welcome back to Mixer, guys. Welcome back to the console series. And if you weren't already aware, later this year, our biggest event of the year, DreamHack and HRX are coming together to be bigger and better than ever before. We're going to have the Smite World Championship there, the Console World Championship for Smite, as well as PWC and the Paladins Console Wars will be coming back there November 16th through the 18th, I believe, and tickets are already on sale for that, so you can go ahead and scoop them if you know you'll be around.
Yep, highresexpo.com is where you can find those tickets. But, of course, we do have our teams that are all going to be battling it out. We don't know who's going to be fighting for the top just yet, and maybe some of these will be the ones to do it in the console wars at HRX. But we've got Fable and Elevate.
Wow, what a heavyweight matchup there. I don't believe I saw any of the... at least representing console teams for EU in their bracket from when I was watching. But Fable, Elevate, two big heavy hitters here in North America. And it's worth noting that this phase of competition does qualify these teams for the summer LAN events. Now, HRX is after the fall split, so to speak. So there is going to be another sort of period of LAN, similar to how we just wrapped up, but after the summer split and before fall split.
Yep, nice and heated in the summertime, but we're about to get into our map selection. Best of 3 territory nowadays for our console series, and Frog Isle first destination.
That's right. It's going to be potentially over pretty quickly here, but Elevate and Fable tend to be a pretty good set. Fable making a couple of roster changes, I believe, since the console wars. They parted ways with SoldierBot, and the name of his replacement does escape me now, but we'll have to see how this affects the landscape of Fable here, and whether or not it means role changes for any of these long-standing veterans. I imagine not. I mean, SoldierBot was their DPS player, very good Mave player as well, and that's not an easy shoe to fill right now because she's pretty brand new to at least the spotlight that she's currently under.
Yeah, she's been chilling for quite a while, but hasn't really gotten attention until this most recent LAN and a little bit before then. But no Khan, so that's starting to get much more attention just in general.
Yeah, he went through that phase of people figuring him out, and then people did figure him out at this level of coordination. We talked about on Esports Weekly why he can be so impactful, and then getting buffed on top of all that, and buffed in areas that were, making him such a bully, I think, to begin with. Strix, he'll be the first pick here on Frog Isle. I'm noticing Makoa going a lot later in these console drafts. Never has been quite as highly valued on PC as he is on console, so it makes sense, but definitely more things than I thought.
No, early prioritization of Mave still. So Fernando and Mave locked in for Elevate. Makoa now getting locked in. And actually making sure to pick up the sniper early, where it does kind of show your hand a bit about some strategies you're going for. But hey, then you don't have to worry about trying to lock that down later.
So Elevate are either not going to go with it or just try and pick around it here. They do have the potential to try and grab that up, but with their third DPS locked in, I don't believe they will be going Kinessa to try and challenge the Strix. They've gone for Drogos, Mave, and Cassie.
I mean, they could. Just probably wouldn't be a very good idea without a support. New strats, everybody. New strats.
This puts you in that element of, like, the domino effect. Like, Drogos can't really effectively do his job until Strix is dealt with. And this is actually something that I do want to talk about here. The Moji. Wonderful tweets a lot about Moji, and I guess just really loves the pick here. So I assume this is going to be Wonderful, the traditional tank player for Fable, playing the Moji.
That could be very interesting. And Moji kind of also swung in for a little bit of time with a very specific build and then swung out of it. Maldamba's going to be your last pick here today as we get started with our first game. So triple
deeps on both sides here. I assume the Moji to be playing that similar build. Nothing's changed about the character outside of the one nerf. I guess I should say 2 nerfs. She just received some nerfs to the CDR of her abilities, the cooldowns of both Scamper and Magical Barrier. Though they do both remain pretty low, nothing else has changed about this character.
And it is indeed wonderful on the Moji, so gotta put all those tweets to work and see exactly what he is talking about.
He picks up Will-O-the-Wisp as well, the standard CCR reduction card, so won't be able to be CC'd down by the Dread Serpent stuns, things of that nature. And you can see Soldier Bot playing under the Elevate banner now. Cool Matt taking his place under Fable, so a little bit of a grudge match, so to speak. These two teams definitely have a lot of pride on the line.
Having to face off against the old team nice and early within this phase, but Elevate early security onto the objective. Cool Matt going to be very important to see if he can hold down with the Strix or if he gets targeted too much, but Crazy is actually the first to fall to Wonderful.
And it looks like it is still just that toot build there. The spray comes out. Do be careful here. Absorbs that last rocket from Drogos, as well as gets a nice big pocket heal. And a lot of nice micromanaging of when you're jumping and scampering, you can actually carry a lot of your movement speed momentum from the scamper into that first jump, meaning you can also be firing while moving just as fast as you were, kind of like he did right there.
Interesting positioning from Cool Matt. Started to get a little bit of a shot onto the enemy frontliner, but there's Makoa to go ahead and save the day a little bit. Nice heals from Saris as well. 66% on the objective, and boom, right into the face. Skeppy gets the kill onto Sir James Parker.
Elevate really struggling to get in here and put any pressure onto this backline. Love this new Strix skin as well. Sound effects, very, very cool. Cool Matt putting it on display nicely here. GR Crazy, he rolls backwards into a little flower box and unfortunately gets taken down. SJP will find Wonderful deep in the back line, but it doesn't matter. Fable have already got what they came for.
Now it's time for them to push. Couple still down on the side of Elevate, so early access to some push potential for Fable. But Elevate, it looks like they're going to have to just regather and wait for one of the key chokes.
Big headshot here from Cool Matt, the newest member of Fable. He's going to keep pegging shots here into the back line. So, I mean, yes, Fable made a roster swap, but so did Elevate. They picked up who Fable dropped. And now we'll have to see which team has gotten off to the race faster. 1:53 left on the clock. Dragon Punch is charged, ready to go. Midnight Scout, things and resources available for Elevate. They're not finding the angles they want to be able to use these. Fable off to a strong start.
Yeah, already making their way almost to the 100, a minute and a half to go, and Cool Matt still keeps with this positioning, gets a nice shot onto Drogos, another one with the pistol, a little bit of HP left to Sir James Parker, and he picks one up onto the enemy support, but actually goes down, Skeppy getting the double kill for Fable.
Skeppy does get the double kill, but I think SJP did his job in dismantling the aggression. Fable had all of Elevate pinched in this tiny, awful corner. They were really, really poorly positioned. But the only thing that saved them there was SJP diving to the backline, getting a kill, and forcing eyes of Fable to turn away from these horribly positioned teammates on Elevate to him. He dove, kind of suicide bombed into the backline, but he bought so much space and breathing room for his team to recover.
And even right now, using this key corridor, actually has to hop away from the Ancient Rage. Makoa getting straight into the backline, Crazy nice and low, but finds some safety within the spawn zone. Shield to keep him alive, but not for long if Elevate has anything to say about it.
And that's just, again, target prioritization. SJP recognizes this Makoa is probably dead, or at least he should have been. He doesn't die, so that play doesn't, the risk didn't pay off for SJP. His team goes down to 0, but I understand the target swap for SJP. That Makoa should have been presumed dead with 10% HP below him.
And Skeppy back on the buck. Got some really, really nice shots early on, which allowed them to just get that security that led to this moment, actually, with the double kill. But I think Fable, as a unit, when it came to the capture, great positioning on them. Elevate need to, this time around, with comeback mechanic in their favor, find a way just to break through those original lines.
Top damage here for Wonderful's Moji, a very pocket niche pick. Again, no changes really have been made to this character, but I think it's just a really, really strong player, one of the strongest, if not the undisputed strongest player in the console scene, piloting one of his favorite. And, in those types of situations, you just make it work.
So why does he love Moji so much?
I mean, I love Moji.
Why do you love Moji so much?
I love Moji because she's a lot of fun just to always have an ability to press. That's my biggest thing. I love like stance switching gods and smite. I love something that always has an ability to cast or something to be doing because I have a very low attention span, I guess.
She keeps you busy, I guess.
Absolutely. You can always be doing something. No reloading, no real reason not to be firing. You don't have a move speed penalty or anything. You can literally always be puking, running, or popping a barrier.
It's the sparkly throw-up that everyone knows and loves from Moji. But Wonderful, obviously very familiar with these familiars and their actual navigator here, 75% for Fable so far. Dread Serpent on the high ground, activated by Elevate, and managed to actually lose one of their own. Miracle taking down Crazy.
Yeah, doing a great job here. SJP caught out in the channel for the Dragon Punch. Wonderful, punishes that beautifully. Has his ultimate available if he needs to go to it, but he's just going to keep the gas pedal pressed. He's going to throw up the magical barrier, get a big heal here, and it's all according to plan for Fable. Emmet
Payne trying to delay as long as possible, but it's not long enough. Here's the overtime, starting to trickle on down. Everyone that is up from Elevate getting zoned here on the side towards their spawn. Wonderful with the double kill. And here's your third point of the game for Fable. Streaks are flying nice and strong, too.
Big kills there from Wonderful. He rotates back into the fight. She's got a lot of self-sustain. Moji, a fun character additionally because she can look after herself and other teammates. She's going to make this dive from Wonderful and Skeppy a lot stronger. That little toot cloud you see, that's why he's just dashing and not moving around. He really just wants to spawn that cloud. Places a movement speed buff on him and allies as well as a heal over time for Skeppy.
2 minutes to go on this push. A few ultimates actually available on the side of Fable. Not too long before Ancient Rage is available as well. Skeppy and Wonderful just kind of tagging up on the sideline to keep Elevate pushed at bay. The payload still moving nice and aggressively.
1:43 left on the clock here. Fable turns the final corner without a fight from Elevate. They didn't put up any resistance here up until this point. The Midnight has been popped. Elevate are looking to make their stand here, but Soldier Bot, he's unable to use his pounce offensively and then gets pulled in by a great convergence miracle. He sponsors this team fight and takes it home.
Triple kill for Miracle after that ultimate follow-up from the team. That's a team wipe, and Fable get game number 1 of this best of 3. That's how you style on them in the end.
And a very stylistic composition from Fable overall. I mean, Sarah's not traditionally a very highly picked healer. I haven't seen Moji competitively in literal months. It's closing in. I think we saw her at HRX, but I think since then it really hasn't been much of a thing from her. But incredible stuff from the Saris. And when you hit that big ultimate like that, it's like that looming threat that finally comes crashing down. All game long, she's providing good healing. All game long, she's providing good survivability, and then she just completely wins a team fight in a single ability press.
Yeah, so, I mean, Fable, I'm sure, after the previous LAN, because everyone had such high expectations, so they're tweaking, they made the roster change, and want to make their statement at the start of this phase to hopefully come back to our next LAN segment. So let's go ahead and find out where we're going in game number 2, which, now that we're best of 3, could potentially be the last, and it's Bright Marsh.
Yeah, but at the same time, Elevate don't want to... They want to make that statement as well. You know, they pick up Soldier Bot from Fable as well as they've always kind of gone back and forth with Fable here as one of the top teams on the NA Xbox scene, one of the strongest scenes traditionally in Paladins console. But until the console wars most recently, Europe finally found their upset, finally found their footing and the respect that I think deserved.
Similar bans, except this time Buck's taken off the table. I guess they weren't really much of a fan of when Skeppy had that. And Moji as well. So 2 flanks banned away completely by Elevate.
Yeah, but that just opens so much room for the rest of Fable to get what they want, right? There's big notable things not banned. We're looking at Makoas that are still open. We're looking at Maves that are still open. It's just a question of whether or not Fable want to run them. Elevate go for the first pick, Genos here. Fable answer back with a pip of their own. And again, Maeve is sort of still a niche pick for me. Not many people, I think, had her in the tank. It's like when, you know, things come back, like Eevees come back, Andros will come back into the meta, and there's just those Andro players that, you know, they get right back on the bicycle here. Maeve has never really been strong in the meta before, so there's not a lot of that historical Maeve player.
And we've seen some that have picked her up and struggled a little bit in the beginning as they're trying to get their footing, but then as time goes on, you get a bit more comfortable, and I think a lot of rosters are probably going to be putting pressure on some of the players to make sure that she is a viable option for them. But Grover and Pip, 2 supports for the side of Fable.
Yeah, this is just completely flexing, I think, on Elevate at this point, saying we are going to just deathball this. They pick up the Pip, not because it's good against what Elevate have drafted. They've only picked a Genos at this point. They're picking the Pip because it would be good against what Fable is intending to draft, which looks like a pretty clear 4 protect 1 strategy here. Cassie, Maeve, they don't do so well against a clumpy, very tanky, heal-oriented composition. Bomb King is the only one that's going to be able to tear this one up effectively.
There's a lot on the weight of Vivian for Fable and the rest of the team to keep her in it. And then on the side of Elevate, you know who your targets are. It's just a matter of trying to break through all of the different layers that are actually wrapped around her.
I will say what they do have going for them is Brand and Kinetic. Splash Shot, being able to apply that anti-heal, 75% amplitude early onto multiple targets, as well as Brand being that but more effective. It's easier to hit multiple targets with a fireball than it is a blast shot from Cassie. Miracle goes straight into the morale boost. Brand being run here by Emmett Payne. GR Crazy, I have to imagine, is running Kinetics 5 as well. Pretty standard solo heal Grover build as well. Crazy does pick up both Tumble and Kinetics here.
I'm excited to see Coolmat on this Vivian as well, because he's been around, but right now, obviously, now part of the starting roster for Fable after taking out SoldierBot. So they're putting a lot of weight on his shoulders in this game. And also, I think they are feeling themselves just a bit. Getting some shots through the window immediately. Fable 27 and climbing on the objective. Straight
to the objective for at least one frontliner from Fable, but the other, Makoa, just sort of boxing out for this Vivian, trying to keep her alive. Wonderful. Does a nice little backstep there to get himself out of the door. First blood will go to Elevate, but it's quickly answered back by Fable. Cooldowns come back up for the Elevate frontliners, and they head back in.
Emmett Payne making his stance onto the objective, and Wonderful is actually sandwiched between two members of the opposing team and punished for it, but Skeppy picks one up onto Crazy. 33 to 48% so far, but there's still just a couple down on both ends, and it's up to the frontliners that are up to go and hold it down in the meantime.
And at the end of the day, if SJP plays this smart, he just holds his angle here. He realizes there's not going to be any pressure on him. There's no mobility, unless it's Skeppy that's honestly diving into the backline, but even then, SJP should be able to win that 1v1. He's going to have a pretty easy game. He just needs to be hitting his mid-range autos. Like, this is his whole livelihood right here.
No one's really able to turn around and target him right now. There's just a lot going on the opposite end that Fable has to deal with. Sir James Parker still being nice and topped off with the help of the support, but there's a wraparound. They're right behind him, also blasting away, gets a nice heal onto himself, but on the other end, Emmett Payne goes down, and Sir James Parker tried to go for the King Bomb, but got defused.
Trensic, beautiful help there. Skeppy gets a big heal onto himself, but the threat of Makoa is just enough to scare SJP into a pretty rough ultimate there. He doesn't get it off, so he will still have it. Elevate grabbed the first objective, which is big for their composition because they're going to fall off later into the game. The healing's not going to be as much, the shielding's not going to be as much, and Elevate will be able to have an advantage over them later on.
And already starting to make some leeway. Trensic taking quite a bit of damage from someone on the opposite end, but Skeppy actually rotating around. Elevate, they're just trying to wait for that next choke and actually jumping right above the through time and space.
Big heal there comes out from Skeppy as well. Running the Catalyst Pip here, you can see the bonus damage whenever he does land his slow. Trying to go all in. SoldierBot onto this Makoa is unable to get the job done. SJP over the top is. SJP finds a triple. SoldierBot finally gets his prey. And it's a full quadra kill, a full wipe for Elevate.
Wowza. That's one way to go ahead and slow the momentum of the enemy team. And with SoldierBot being added to this roster, those are the kind of moments that you're wanting to see early on. See, all right, we picked you up. See how you're going to mesh. And it worked out well with Sir James Parker.
Getting a little ahead of himself there, will fall down as Elevate tries to hold this defense. Fable comes roaring back in, finds their first pick. Very aggressive Evil Mojo from Skeppy. Hits two, kills only one there. Emmett Payne does not pop back out in time. SoldierBot's forced to fall back, and the disruption at a bare minimum has to be worth it from Skeppy.
About 60% with this push. They took out the healing on the opposite end, so it's a Bomb King and a Maeve trying to stand on their own. Payne has revived and will probably have to step down soon enough because his payload's making its way over the hill to just those few feet to its final stop, but Colemat's putting the pressure from afar.
50 seconds on the clock, but Fable slam it right through. Treacherous ground provides a lot of zoning. Emmett Payne, he's unable to dash in on that deployable. The second he hits it, it's going to cripple him out, cancel the dash, and he's going to be walking forward at a snail's pace. Up over the top here, beautifully positioned ult. The small little micro adjustment made to the left there makes sure SJP hits all three, and it's an easy cleanup, an easy fourth for the quad.
So you got to give it to Elevate for that moment. That was just a good player doing a good thing. But if you don't have anything on those final moments when the push happened, then cool, but it just got completely negated.
And outside of that play, he's 1-3 in that round. So unless it's going to be a miracle play from someone every single round, Elevate have to find another way to win this. And again, they
miracles on the upside.
They will fall off. They're going to have to get one of their own. they'll fall off a little bit. Their anti-heal is going to be, it's already good, it's going to get better. Their shield shred is already good, it's going to get better. Things like the damage amp from Genos, those are things that are not falling off from Fable.
Here's a whirlwind, actually. Fable, they rotated once again really quickly to the objective, but so did Elevate, and Elevate ended up losing 2 because of it. And make that another one as Sir James Parker goes down. Trinsic cleaning up that kill.
And already 51% on the objective. There is comeback mechanic in play, but look at this zone. Both frontliners, Skeppy on the top, Cool Matt hold downing mid. I mean, I don't see a way to break this if you're Elevate.
Yeah, look, they're all just grouped together, and there's only so many ways that you can actually try and access the objective. And with that, Fable get their 3rd point of the game. It's time to push, and there's no reason for Fable to let up any of this pressure as well. Send somebody to push this forward. But Elevate having a very difficult time making their way through.
Bright Marsh giveth, and Bright Marsh taketh away here. Fable with you know, an excellent draft isn't what I would say, because this isn't really a catch-all draft that any team is going to be able to be successful with. I think this is just Fable coordinating and playing well as a team, as a unit, and maybe making it a little bit tougher. You know, when you see the Genos, you see, all right, they probably want to go 3 DPS here. We're probably going to let them have Mave as well. So that's, you know, 2 out of 5 picks we know that they're going to have. We transition this into a composition that 3 DPS is going to slightly struggle, I guess, and also we have that 6th man in the map. You know, Bright Marsh is going to be fighting a little bit harder for those big, bulky compositions than it is the high mobility 3 DPSers.
And there are moments, Styles just got a couple kills for them, and this is allowing the payload to regress just a bit, affording some vision through the ultimate from Cassie. But Fable, I think they're being very responsive. They're not getting too overly aggressive unless it's necessary, and right now starting to close in once more.
I don't know, I kind of saw the opportunity right there. Soldier Bot and Emmett Payne, right? Emmett Payne is not, on this solo Fernando, he's not doing anything on the front line, and because he shouldn't. He simply can't. Against Makoa, against Inara, you're just not getting anything done. Huge 4-man Evil Mojo gets nothing from Skeppy. SJP goes right by him. Skeppy just counterpunches.
And here's actually the Midnight from Elevate. They want to keep their hopes alive within this set, but nonetheless, Fable still losing 1, but that's a 1-for-4 trade, so Fable end up getting the victory, game number 2, and thus the set win.
There it is. Beautiful stuff there from Fable with 2 very different compositions, very different roles being played by Skeppy and Wonderful. Two of the main veterans on this roster. Fable looking very, very strong here, and the roster change seems to be well warranted.
Yeah, and I believe Gore was even talking to someone from Fable and everything about their just hopes and going forward and continuing to be a strong team and proving themselves within this set for sure. But we finished 1 set. We've got another one for you, another North American set, but this time over for PS4.
Yep, and we'll have to see who's playing in that bracket there. Now, Onslaught was the representative at the console wars for this region and didn't have the best of showings. I don't think we're expected to have the best of showing. I believe made some changes pretty quick leading up to or butting right up against the event. So it's all about building that synergy with your team and finding the right and this is something we've talked a lot about actually, even on PC, right? Soldier Bot gets replaced on Fable. Might not be because he's mechanically bad or they have anything wrong with that. It may be more, and I think more often than not, is actually just who that player is, how they're meshing with the rest of the team, how they want to be approaching the game. Do they get frustrated with certain things or aspects about who they're playing with? I think that more than anything is why we see shifts at this super high level of play, because everyone's just good enough to cut the mustard, I think.
And that's lots of changes. Just I think in the console series, we see it even more often than not, roster changes and such. But it's going to be Misfortune and low expectations. I don't know how I feel about
my goodness.
They just want to set it so low that we go in thinking, I guess this is just a losing team, so they can just blow everyone away.
Well, you can only leave satisfied or as expected, I think, with a team name like that.
Yeah, you can't lose. You're either true to your name or you defy the odds. But let's take a look at the map's best of 3 set. Frog Isle, once again, is where we are starting.
Has the potential to be, like we saw, a very quick 4-0 map. Depending on what team has that advantage here, they can get this going very quickly. And with that composition, Elevate weren't able to hold very aggressively here at all. You could see anytime Fable captured the objective, they were able to march it 75-80% of the way up the path before they even had to take a fight. And just because of that, they don't get one attempt at that final fight. They get 3, they get 4 attempts at cracking that one fight. And if you lose that fight, if you're Elevate on the defense, then you just lose the game here. I think more standard bans come through now. Maeve, Buck, Zin, as well as Anar. People just proving to, be frustrated with Anar. He's tough to deal with in a lot of situations.
Yeah, we've started to steer a bit more towards this. Is the second game in a row we're seeing where 3 of the bans are flanks, and it's not as much just all of the frontliners. You're seeing Makoa come through, but Inara just sticking down there sometimes, even though she was in the last game. But Pip and Genos, early pickups for Misfortune.
And Kana, with Genos being a little bit more of a lean towards a 3 DPS healer, I don't think you want to let Khan and Genos go through, because Khan, he makes a bad problem worse because he brings more damage amp, assuming you're running firing line, which basically everyone in competitive does. But you're also bringing burst healing, fairly frequent burst healing with what most loadouts are looking like for Khan. It's 5 seconds of cooldown off of your battle shout. You're basically Grover running around, throwing out your 1,000 HP heals every 10 seconds. So he covers what Genos lacks, at the same time bringing more damage amp than Genos can bring.
Well, Saris is your last lock-in, and we are going to have a war of the snipers on both of these sides, which has been a hot minute, since we've actually seen both snipers go through a draft.
Yeah, and so much of that is decided here. The 2 snipers going head-to-head with each other, at least landing a shot. Sometimes you don't even need to get the kill. If you can just get that opening shot, you just communicate that to your flanker, and then it tends to be enough here. Whoosh, Neil Bong, Strong, shoot, and Atomic Boom. So if I'm... Yeah, it looks like some roster changes here in NA as well. Atomic Boom, I believe, played under Onslaught's banner at the Console Wars, but now... among some of the other veterans. Yeah, a lot of switching. Console does that. Right now they have, I feel like, a pretty restricted talent pool to pull from, so these players do bounce around a decent bit, not just, from team to team, but from console to console, because basically all of them do have both PS4s and Xboxes.
It does seem like it's nearly a weekly basis, sometimes at least by the phase, but nice hook in to actually bring in Terminus, but low expectations, not hearing too much about it right now. A few of them planted on the objective. Galaxy versus the enemy Kinessa. That's what we're going to be watching in a lot of these scenarios.
Yep, player won't make it over the wall, unfortunately. Khan, the noose is starting to tighten. His shield expires, runs out of energy. He does go down, but First Blood's finally being traded here at 1.5 minutes in.
Vicious actually on the Leon. Nice angle right here, and actually landing some really decent shots, but nonetheless, Garcia's actually the one to fall. 60% for low expectations. Everyone's kind of just tiptoeing around it for the meantime, waiting to get these picks.
The old, I don't even know who I want to name that move after, but the fire spit with no rockets to blow it up. I almost want to call it the Shady Shades there, the one time he played Drogos. It was on Frog Isle, and he actually pulled that off a couple of times, but 78% for Misfortune, the team that houses the more console veterans in this matchup anyway, so that's the team that, frankly, I'm expecting to come away with this one.
Yeah, low expectations. Setting on to the point once more. Here's the Dragon Punch, working with that morale boost as well to get that online as soon as possible, targeting the enemy frontliner. Overtime trickling once more. Couple shots onto the support, and this should be going to Misfortune. There you go.
The flare will connect there. The fire spit does as well. Shu cleans up the kill on the Galaxy. But I gotta say, I really like the play from Atomic Boom there. It's very, very Evil Eye-esque, where he gets the Dragon Punch, and instead of just scrambling away with tail between his legs, when he realizes he's under a bit of pressure, he's like, I'm probably dead here anyway. They have a sniper, and I'm way out in the open. I'm just gonna bring another idiot with me. And then he just goes in, continues to hit fire spits, continues to hit rockets. That aggression actually turns the fight even further on its head, and Misfortune keep Atomic Boom alive and go on to win the fight even harder.
Yeah, the fact that he was able to stay alive on top of it, even if he did give his life, it would have been a situation where the benefit would have been worth it in the end anyway. So just a little extra bonus for them. Payload still moving through. Tommy Jet is just putting the pressure onto low expectations for anyone that pops out of those doors.
And another 1200 to the back of Khan's head. Terminus goes up in the air, but he's got his sights set on the enemy sniper. He drives the first shot home. Neil Bongstrong has the potential for a big ultimate here in the back line. Khan holding it down as best he can, but they're all being forced back into spawn by Makoa's Ancient Rage.
Nice whoosh whoosh with the anchor from Makoa. Tommy Jet actually picking one up on top as well. Low expectations, losing 3 members make that 4. Yes, they had Strix respawn at the end, but he can't do anything about it. Misfortune put it through.
2-0 start here for Misfortune. They use a couple of big ultimates there. Ancient Rage, 17%. That's really the big one. Tommy Jet, especially with morale boost already online, especially with the type of damage that he's doing. Is that a Willow spray? I think that's a Willow spray. We basically opened up the ability for any champion to use any other champion's sprays. You used to would have had to have been Willow to pop that spray out. But Tommy Jet, anyway, what I was saying is he's doing so much damage. Headhunter's a quick charging ultimate. He's got morale boost on the line. It's not a big deal for him to pop this like it's a 4th ability.
Look at that rifle spinning. Tommy Jet showing off the skills here in the spawn before we go back onto the battlefield. Misfortune still up 2-0. Lots of ultimates available to low expectations as well that they might have to pop if they really want to take advantage of the comeback mechanic. Early shots coming on through.
Nothing will land there from the time and space. Terminus and Makoa boxing out. Terminus so effective at that duel. He's going to reanimate back. The convergence comes through. Goes fishing, but finds nothing.
And a couple actually rotating on the opposite side as well, but they get spotted out and are forced to just back off towards the objective. Whoosh and Tommy Jet picking up a couple kills. More pressure onto the enemy. Leon takes a lot of damage right there, but luckily gets to safety.
And you can see Atomic Boom is looming over here. He's going to land almost every shot of that salvo. This fire spit might be good for 2 kills. Enlightenment is just going to eat it, body blocking it, but Whoosh, an easy cleanup for him after Atomic Boom dumps another 1,400 in the Galaxy.
And actually ends up getting taken out by Garcia, but still 66% for Misfortune on the objective. They're climbing. They've got solid control. Whoosh a little too low for comfort. Luckily getting some healing from his support, but ready to rotate back around, and Business couldn't even step onto the objective, getting gripped up before it was too late.
Team Whoosh ends up getting out of the fight there. Tommy Jet realizes his Ceres is still here, hits one big shot. Starts to receive some pressure from her right-hand side from Leon, and quickly answers back. Atomic Boom with the killing blow. And this front line falling apart. Low expectations, I think, have set their name appropriately.
With Ceres and Khan, everybody else is down. You can't apply any pressure. They're kind of just forced to wait back there by the spawn until their team can entirely regroup. But with that, Whoosh is rotating to the same exact position he was chilling during the last push. Just throw out some shots. Your Ancient Rage is available if you want to pop that towards the end of the push again, while everybody else actually rotates with the objective.
146 on the clock. Terminus trying to flank, but gets spanked instead. Evil Mojo, no hesitation from Shu there. Young Tyler will be credited with that frag as well. Tommy Jet to the back line has been dominating this matchup with Strix.
Payload still pushing through, just a little bit to go, but a whole minute and a half to do it. The Dragon Punch gets channeled, looks for a target. Actually, his target ends up dying, so he just recovers the 30% and gets a different kill onto Vicious.
And, you know, that's a fine recovery, I think, here from Young Boom. That's a fine one, too. Ooh, if he hit both of those rockets, it would have been a quadra kill and the game. Never mind.
Oh, there you go.
I think
style on him.
there was plenty of ways that outcome could have been fulfilled there. Misfortune, they take a 4-0 there. Atomic Boom makes maybe look a little calculated there. Missed his Dragon Punch, turns it around for a quadra kill in the game.
Yeah, I really liked his responsiveness, because when you miss the Dragon Punch because your teammate ended up killing your target before you do, it's like an okay situation, and then maybe your best bet is, let me just recover my 30% and be fine, but he actually found a lot of value immediately after.
Yep, and, you know, no use crying over spilt milk there. It's a 4-0 start, and this was a great salvo spit combo to start things off. Obviously, great accuracy always helped. This one has helped as well to break the stealth. Sort of luck, but, you know, such a close range shot that it was a little tough for Atomic Boom to miss that one. And then a loadout card hot swap actually makes that reload possible, and the kill on the Terminus come very quickly thereafter.
So those on Misfortune that we've seen time and time again within console are still performing to the same caliber they did previously, and I think that clearly came together as a collective within game number 1. Game number 2 is going to be on Bright Marsh, so same exact path as we saw in our previous set.
Yeah, maybe just the popular maps here for the time being, as well as they're both small maps. but they're kind of polar opposite if you're just looking at in terms of square footage versus how the map actually plays. Frog Isle, very open snipers, high mobility, and a lot of lines of sights to play with. That is how you think about Frog Isle. Complete opposite here on Bright Marsh, where you, like we saw in the Fable Elevate set, you could potentially be completely locked down. It's impossible for you to approach the point without running into an enemy champion if your team wills it.
Some similarities in the bans, except Genos is taking off once again. Drogos and Khan. Khan being the first lock-in for Misfortune. Both frontliners just locked down.
Early on. But we're going to see the Drogos come through first pick here. It's a great pick to counter out those big bulky compositions that Misfortune, they're kind of setting up for. Maybe haven't fully committed to that. You know, Makawa and Khan are very offensive frontliners inherently, so I think this is a fine way for them to go. They get the cast emojis. Well, love this composition so far. They've got a flanker that brings a lot of utility, a little bit of healing, a lot of, you know, shielding, that sort of thing, as well as, except for Cassie, every pick is a little bit wishy-washy in exactly where and how they're going to be playing.
And on a map like Bright Marsh, I think Moji, in the way that she operates, has just some things that can line up nicely with the rest of the team, especially if you're relying on Makoa and Khan and stuff. But Grover also getting locked in here as the last pick.
Very gas pedal heavy composition here, and I believe in the set I was watching over in Europe, there was a similar composition with Grovers and Khans and things of that nature. Grover has a card called Heavenly Agility. When he pops his Blossom, gives his teammates up to, I believe, 40% movement speed. And when you're looking at Moji, who's giving you movement speed in an area of effect, Grover, who could potentially do that, as well as Khan, who's healing in a big area, Grover's healing in a big area. There's damage amp all over the place. And Neil Bongstrong not running that card in particular here, but the same, I think, principle still applies with Moji being much more effective at applying that. Misfortune have some potential for some very high mobility, moving around, just base movement speed compositions, and that, I think, is what makes their comp so strong or so scary for me.
Which means it's up to low expectations to try and lock that down. Be aware of that early on so you're not caught off guard when your targets just keep trying to whiz right out of your lines of sight. But everybody's starting to rotate. Actually, no one being too aggressive onto the objective. Looks like there's one just ready to hang on to it for Misfortune.
I think if that was properly communicated to Shu there, he probably would have pushed that Leon down for first blood. Galaxy falling lower and lower here. Shu finding a couple of good shots. Lays down a sustained movement speed cloud to fight out of. Doesn't see this Leon as low as she is. No first blood falling yet, but Misfortune still ahead 63-0 on the objective.
Because all the while, they've got Khan over on the objective, and low expectations have been distracted by all the other members and haven't really been able to make their way through until this very moment. So 93, that's going to be your stopping point. Low expectations putting Alana and Nar to try and hold it. And there's your first blood finally for Atomic Boom going down.
And a very weird way for Atomic Boom. He never even turned around like he was in danger until he died. Very lack of reaction.
So focused.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lack of reaction for me. I think he could have gotten out there. I think he could have probably survived. Tommy Jet puts a big burst onto Inara. Overtime starts and likely to end in favor of Misfortune.
That is some of the comfort of when you have a couple frontliners is, yes, Atomic Boom fell, but then you had Makoa waiting there ready to make his move. And there's actually overtime finishing. So Misfortune get that first point because of just that rotation through.
And a great start to the round for Misfortune. They're going to keep up their dominant pace. Shield goes up. Everyone from Misfortune already basically posted up at the primary choke of Bright Marsh, and it looks like low expectations don't have the expectation of holding much further forward than this to begin with. Tommy Jot takes Galaxy out of the sky. That's why we say not a hit scan threat directly to that Drogos, but if Tommy Jet is dialed in enough, he will absolutely be able to deal with it.
And he heard the evil mojo got off, and Tommy Jet actually just waiting over here in the side corridor with the rest of the team. There's the seismic crash, gets thrown through and actually gets the stun, but still no one has fallen just yet.
It's so many ultimates that are out of follow-up range there, and I'd say it was a little bit of luck that chicken made it out unscathed, but that seismic crash there, no one's getting in there to follow that one up, I don't think, to the degree. I mean, sometimes, you know, you got to go for those because it could potentially be a four-man ult. It looks good to you, and it's just on the team to follow it up. No one gets pulled in by the convergence as well. Simply too much momentum going for Misfortune.
Good hit onto the tree with this ultimate from Shu, but gets a kill onto business.
Are you flaming him?
Looks like he had a target.
That tree owes me money.
Yeah, Yeah, he just got him out of the tree. Was trying to chop it on down. But still, he got the kill. That's what matters, right?
Yeah, Tommy Jet, plenty of damage to go around that first round from him. He's setting a 10,000 damage per minute, roughly, pace. And even more if you discount the 40 or so seconds before the game starts and in between this round here. Healing being led pretty heavily by Grover as well. And when you throw in the little 5K bump, the little 8K bump from Moji and Khan as well, the sustain topic definitely comes to the forefront of the conversation here between these two teams. You look at 4 rejuvenates as well. It's simply a snowball comp that is designed to put you in the dirt in 6 minutes.
Nice slash lines, nice itemization. Misfortune rotating once again to the objective. And last time around, Low Expectations wasn't able to stem that bleeding until it hit 93% and clearly lost a lot of value for that. Nice headshot coming out from Vicious, but still waiting for a key moment.
This is the same thing, though. At this rate, Low Expectations have to find a way, and Misfortune just have to take this fight, haphazardly. Just don't die. You don't really even have to not kill anyone because you're winning. This whole time you were just winning this fight. You have someone on the objective and the enemy team does not.
Yeah, and Atomic Boom was able to rotate off the point and put
This
the
guy,
Grover
man.
Tommy Jet with the triple kill. Yeah, I'm liking what we're seeing from on the Canessa during the last game. Had some just really great shots. Here on this Cassie, another one to his name. There's your capture, but an 11 streak for this man.
This kid is on point today. I gotta tell you what, I like the way that he's playing around this Makoa as well. The communication, the fact that he gets put below half, but stays in and just continues to fire because clearly it's been communicated to him that he has a shell shield coming. He's gonna be okay, and I like that from Misfortune. I like the communication between these teammates.
A little bit of some crossing a line between these two lineups as Low Expectations tried to make their way through this break that we talked about the last time we were on Bright Marsh, but Misfortune still moving through with their payload. They've actually set the Grover on that, so this is kind of just the wait, try and hold it is Low Expectations, set yourself up for the next move.
Shu gets
Nice.
dressed around the corner there. He's unable to be followed up, and Inara looks like that's who she wanted with her ultimate. That's the follow-up. That's the kill that she was hoping to get, but she's not going to get it. In fact, it looks like it maybe even turned around. Earthing Guards popped. Saris has tethered her, and this Inara is still barely staying alive.
Luckily, Cassie was able to actually keep up in the sideline. Atomic Boom with the double kill. Shu picking one up as well. A few little feet to go, and there's the Rooster baby, but he doesn't remain a Rooster for long. And Misfortune close out the set.
Feels like I just watched the same set twice.
Yeah,
to
pretty
be
much.
honest. And almost similar, different champions, but a similar composition thematically overall. Approaching to the game, Misfortune are running that very, very nicely on both maps, and they clean up a quick 4-0 on both as well.
So North America being a bit one-sided in these matchups, taking a look at the bracket. It was a 2-0 here in the finals, and looks like 2-0s across the board. But Misfortune, even though the name may be unfamiliar, a lot of the names of the players themselves should ring a bell.
Yeah, great stuff from them. I liked that we're seeing the resurgence of Moji. Wonder if we'll see any of that on PC, if any of those guys are paying attention, maybe taking a note. I think Moji does very well. I think she's fun to watch, and I hope she comes back.
Well, thanks everybody for watching everything today. As you know, we have our different schedule going on, so we have continued content for Paladins throughout the week. All you got to do is follow on Paladins Pro on Twitter for all the information you need. My name is LaTigress. This was Pretty Hair. We'll see you next time.